Dr. Elias Shaw sat alone in his small research station on the edge of a barren planet called Arcadia 9. The air was thin, the sky a dull gray, and the cold wind swept through the metal walls like a ghost. Elias was far from Earth and even further from other humans. For months he had worked tirelessly to understand strange signals picked up by his deep space scanners. These signals were unlike anything he had ever seen before. He stared at the flickering screen in front of him. The strange patterns of light and sound danced across the monitor, coded in a way that made no sense to ordinary scientists. Elias was a specialist in alien communication, trained to look for meaning in the chaos. Despite the isolation and silence around him, he felt alive when he listened to the signals. They were like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Every day, Elias adjusted the frequencies, hoping to catch a clearer message. The signals had been weak, almost lost in the static of space, but he never gave up. This was not just another random burst of noise. It had a purpose, a voice reaching out through the vast darkness. The phrase that repeated itself, though hidden beneath layers of encryption, called to him like a whisper from the past. One evening, as Arcadia 9's two suns dipped below the horizon, Elias noticed a change. The signals became stronger and clearer. The sounds shifted, forming patterns he had not heard before. His heart raced. He carefully isolated the transmission and began to decode the message letter by letter. It was difficult, but his years of training paid off. Finally, a phrase emerged, simple but powerful. "Human, I remembered you always." Elias sat back, blinking in disbelief. The words were meant for him. Not a random transmission, but a personal message. He had spent so many lonely nights searching for signs of alien life. Now the universe was speaking directly to him. But who was this message from? And why had they remembered him? He thought back to his younger years, to the secret missions he had taken part in. There was one operation in particular years ago, when he had traveled to a distant star system with a small team. They were supposed to study an unknown species, but had discovered something else, a race of alien warriors called the Vylari. The Vylari had been locked in a brutal war with an enemy no one knew well. Elias had barely escaped with his life. That mission had been erased from official records. No one was supposed to know what had happened. Yet, here was proof that someone from that time had not forgotten him. Elias's mind raced with questions. Could the Vylari still be alive? Had they been searching for him all this time? The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. If they remembered him, it meant their past was not forgotten. And if they were reaching out, it could only mean something important was about to happen. As he prepared to send a reply, his screen flickered again. A new message appeared. This time it was not in words but images, faint, flickering pictures of a woman in shining armor. She looked fierce and strong, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and hope. Elias's breath caught in his throat. He had never seen anyone like her before. The message was short but clear. "I have found you." Elias knew then that the story was no longer just about signals or distant planets. It was about a connection that had survived across time and space. And soon that connection would change everything. For days after receiving the message, Elias worked harder than ever. He improved his scanners and monitored every signal from the Vylari's direction. At night, he studied the images of the warrior woman, wondering who she was and what she wanted. Her face haunted his thoughts as if she held the key to his past and future. The loneliness that had settled over him since arriving on Arcadia 9 began to fade. He was no longer alone. Somewhere out there, across the endless stars, someone remembered him. That memory was stronger than any fear. One afternoon, a sharp noise outside the station startled Elias. He rushed to the window and saw a bright light streaking down from the sky. A ship was coming. It moved fast, like a silver arrow cutting through the atmosphere. Elias's heart pounded as the ship landed softly nearby. The door hissed open and out stepped the woman from the images, Kayla. She was exactly as the pictures had shown, tall, armored, and carrying the quiet strength of a warrior. Her eyes locked onto Elias, and for a moment nothing else mattered. She had come for him. The moment he had dreamed of was real. Kayla spoke with a voice both calm and powerful. "Elias Shaw," she said, "I have found you just as I promised." Elias stepped outside, shielding his eyes from the harsh sunlight. He studied her closely, noticing the scars on her armor and the weariness in her gaze. She carried the weight of many battles, but her spirit was unbroken. "Who are you?" Elias asked, his voice steady but full of questions. "I am Kayla," she replied, "a warrior of the Vylari. I owe you my life. I have searched the stars for years to repay my debt and to warn you." Elias felt a strange mix of relief and excitement. For so long he had wondered if anyone from his past would ever come looking for him. Now here she was, standing before him. The universe was far bigger and more connected than he had ever imagined. Kayla told Elias about the war that had nearly destroyed her people and the secret mission where he had saved her. She explained that an old enemy was rising again, one that threatened both humans and Vylari alike. The message was not just a memory, it was a call to action. Together, Elias and Kayla began to plan. They knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but they also knew they could face it together. Their bond, formed in the fires of conflict long ago, was stronger than ever. The stars above Arcadia 9 seemed to shine brighter that night. Elias looked up, feeling hope for the first time in years. He was no longer just a lonely scientist on a forgotten world. He was part of something greater, a story that was still being written across the universe, and it had only just begun. The silence of Arcadia 9 was broken by the sound of the landing craft's engines fading into the still air. Elias watched from the small window of his research station as the ship's ramp lowered, revealing Kayla, the Vylari warrior he had seen only in flickering images before. She stood tall, her armor scratched and worn from battles, yet she carried herself with the calm confidence of someone who had faced countless dangers. Kayla's dark eyes met Elias's, and in that moment he knew this meeting was no accident. He stepped outside to greet her, the cold wind tugging at his coat. The planet around them was quiet and empty, but something new had arrived here, a chance to rewrite the past. Kayla's voice was steady but soft when she spoke. "Elias Shaw, I have traveled many light years to find you. The Vylari have waited a long time for this reunion." Her words were clear yet full of emotion. "You saved me once. Now I must return the favor." Elias nodded slowly, trying to take in everything at once. "Why now? Why after all these years? And what threat could be so great that it brings you here?" Kayla took a deep breath and began to explain. "Our enemies have grown stronger. The war that nearly destroyed my people is returning, but this time it threatens your world as well. A dangerous force has discovered an ancient weapon buried beneath this very planet. If it is activated, it could bring ruin to all who live." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. His work on Arcadia 9 had been focused on studying old Vylari technology left behind long ago, but he had never imagined it held such danger. "I don't understand. How could this weapon be hidden here? And why was it left behind?" Kayla's eyes darkened. The Vylari once fought to protect the galaxy from this weapon's power. It was so dangerous that even we chose to bury it where no one could find it. But now someone has uncovered it. We must stop them before it is too late. Elias ran his hand through his hair, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "What can I do? I'm just a scientist. I have no weapons, no army." Kayla smiled faintly. "You may not have a sword, but you have something just as powerful. Your mind. The knowledge you have gained during your years of research will be our greatest weapon. Together we can find a way to stop them." The two of them walked back inside the station, the light from the setting suns casting long shadows across the room. Elias showed Kayla the equipment he had been using to study the Vylari signals. She listened carefully as he explained his findings and the strange message she had sent. "I did not expect you to remember me so clearly," Elias admitted. "It is strange to think that a message from you would reach me after all this time." Kayla looked at him thoughtfully. "Our bond goes beyond words and time. When you saved me, it created a connection that could not be broken. I remembered you always, even when hope was lost." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. Despite the cold surroundings and the danger that awaited them, Kayla's presence brought him a sense of comfort and strength. He realized that this reunion was more than just a mission. It was a second chance. Over the next few days, Kayla and Elias worked closely together. She trained him in the basic skills of Vylari combat, teaching him how to move quickly and defend himself. In return, Elias shared his knowledge of technology and science, helping Kayla understand the tools she would need to fight the coming battle. Their partnership grew stronger with every passing hour. They learned to trust each other, relying on their different strengths to fill in the gaps. Elias admired Kayla's courage and determination, while she respected his intelligence and calm under pressure. One evening, As the sun set and the sky turned a deep shade of purple, Kayla revealed more about her people. The Vailari were once great protectors of peace. Our warriors fought not for conquest but to defend those who could not protect themselves. But our enemies are cunning and cruel. They have waited for the right moment to strike. Elias nodded. And now that moment is here. We must stop them before they unleash the weapon's power. Kayla's eyes narrowed. Yes, but it will not be easy. The enemy has spies and mercenaries everywhere. We must be careful. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm from the station's sensors. Elias rushed to the console and saw a small fleet of ships approaching Arcadia 9. Their markings were unfamiliar, but their intentions were clear. They were not friendly. Kayla drew her weapon, a sleek energy blade that glowed with a soft blue light.
They have found us.
We must prepare to defend the station. Elias's heart pounded, but he stood firm. What can I do to help? Kayla looked at him with a fierce smile. Stay close and trust me. We will face this together. The ships landed nearby and armed figures began to pour out. Elias and Kayla fought side by side, using every skill and piece of knowledge they had. Elias hacked into the station's systems, shutting down doors and disabling enemy weapons. Kayla moved with grace and power, cutting through attackers with her blade. Despite being outnumbered, their teamwork made them unstoppable. The bond between human and Vailari grew stronger with every battle, their trust deepening beyond words. When the last enemy ship was destroyed, Elias and Kayla stood victorious but weary. They knew this was only the beginning of a much larger war. Kayla placed a hand on Elias's shoulder. You have proven yourself today. The Vailari and humanity will stand together. Elias smiled, feeling a new sense of purpose. Then let's prepare for what comes next. As night fell on Arcadia 9, the stars above seemed to shine brighter, filled with promise and hope. Elias looked at Kayla and knew that no matter what dangers lay ahead, they would face them as one. The search was over, but the real journey had just begun. The small battered room inside the research station felt colder than usual, as Elias and Kayla sat facing each other. Outside, the suns of Arcadia 9 cast a pale orange glow over the rocky landscape, but inside, the weight of their shared past and uncertain future filled the air. Elias looked into Kayla's eyes, searching for answers while she seemed ready to tell a story she had held inside for too long. Kayla, Elias began carefully. I want to understand everything. How did our paths cross before? What happened to you during that secret mission all those years ago? Kayla's gaze softened. She reached out and placed her hand lightly on the table, her fingers trembling just slightly. It was a time when the Vailari were fighting to protect the galaxy from a hidden enemy. We were desperate, and your team was sent to our home planet to study the situation. I was part of a small unit tasked with defending an ancient weapon, the one now buried here on Arcadia 9. Elias nodded, remembering bits and pieces of those classified missions he had barely dared to recall. I remember the orders to stay clear of the Vailari's battle zones, but we ignored them. Something about their fight called to me. Kayla smiled faintly. You were brave and curious, but also kind. When our squad was ambushed, you risked your life to save me. Without your help, I would have died. Elias swallowed hard. I did not know. I thought I only avoided danger. You did more than that, Kayla said firmly. You changed the course of history. Elias's heart beat faster. This was more than a rescue story. It was a bond forged in battle and sacrifice. But the question still lingered. What happened after? Why did the Vailari disappear from known space? Kayla's expression darkened. Our people were nearly destroyed by a secret enemy, one that moved like shadows. We lost many warriors and our leaders. Our homeworld was shattered. The ancient weapon we protected was buried deep to keep it out of enemy hands. She paused, looking away for a moment. We scattered across the stars, hiding and waiting. Some of us searched for allies, others for hope. I never forgot you, Elias. Even in the darkest moments, your courage stayed with me. Elias reached out and took her hand gently. I never forgot you either, Kayla. I spent years wondering if you survived, if anyone remembered those battles. Kayla's eyes shone with quiet strength. That is why I found you. The past is not just history. It is a warning. The enemy is rising again, and this time they seek the weapon buried here. If they find it, they will have power beyond anything the galaxy has seen. Elias felt a cold knot in his stomach. But why Arcadia 9? Why is the weapon here? Kayla explained. The weapon was hidden here because this planet is isolated, almost forgotten. The Vailari hoped that no one would ever uncover it. But your research drew attention. Your scanners, your work, they are like a beacon. Elias understood then that his peaceful life as a scientist was over. He was part of something much bigger, a battle that could decide the future of many worlds. Then we have to act fast, Elias said with determination. If they are coming for the weapon, we must find a way to protect it or destroy it. Kayla nodded. Yes, but we cannot do it alone. We need allies. The Vailari scattered across the galaxy, but they are few and hidden. We must find them before the enemy does. Over the following days, Elias and Kayla worked closely to prepare for the challenges ahead. Elias studied the ancient Vailari technology, hoping to unlock secrets that could help them defend the weapon. Kayla trained him in the ways of the Vailari warriors, teaching him not only how to fight but how to think like a soldier, always aware of the surroundings, ready for danger at any moment. Their relationship grew deeper, built on trust and respect. Kayla shared stories of her people, their honor, their struggles, and their hopes. Elias found himself inspired by their courage and resilience. He realized that the Vailari were not so different from humans, both races fighting for survival and peace in a universe that could be harsh and cruel. One evening, as they stood watching the twin suns set behind the mountains, Kayla spoke softly. Elias, do you believe we can change what is written in the stars? Elias looked at her, his eyes steady. I believe that as long as we fight together, we can write a new story. One of hope, not fear. Kayla smiled, her armor reflecting the fading light. Then we will fight, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who cannot. Their resolve was soon tested. The enemy forces were moving closer, sending spies and mercenaries to Arcadia 9. Elias and Kayla discovered signs of sabotage, equipment tampered with, strange signals detected near the station. It became clear that the coming battle would be fierce. One night, while monitoring the scanners, Elias noticed an unusual signal. It was a distress call from a nearby asteroid field, a place rumored to be the hiding spot for Vailari survivors. Kayla's eyes narrowed. This could be an opportunity. If we find our allies, we will be stronger. Without hesitation, they prepared to leave the station. Elias gathered what equipment he could, while Kayla sharpened her blade and checked her armor. Together, they boarded a small shuttle and headed toward the asteroid field. Hope and danger intertwined in their minds. As they approached the rocky expanse, Elias felt a mix of fear and excitement. The silence of space was both beautiful and haunting. Suddenly, the shuttle's sensors detected a hidden base carved into the largest asteroid. Kayla guided the ship to a landing platform, and they stepped out into the cold, metal corridors of the base. The air was stale and the walls were covered with symbols of the Vailari, a reminder of their proud history. Inside, they found a small group of warriors, older but still strong. The leader, a tall Vailari named Theros, greeted them with cautious eyes. Kayla, you have returned, and you have brought a human. Kayla bowed her head respectfully. Theros, the enemy grows. We must unite. Theros studied Elias for a long moment. Then he nodded. If you saved Kayla, you have proven your worth. Welcome, Elias Shaw. Together we will face the darkness. Elias felt a surge of pride. He was no longer just a scientist or a stranger. He was part of something bigger, a family, a team fighting for the future. As the Vailari warriors prepared for war, Elias and Kayla stood together, ready to face whatever came next. The past had brought them here, but the future was theirs to shape. In the quiet moments before battle, Elias whispered, I remembered you always too, Kayla. She smiled, her eyes fierce and full of hope. Then we will stand together always. The small Vailari base inside the asteroid hummed with quiet energy. Warriors moved swiftly, preparing their weapons and repairing ships. Elias and Kayla stood at the center of it all, planning their next move. The enemy was no longer far away, they were coming, and soon. Elias studied a holographic map projected between them. Red markers showed the positions of enemy forces advancing toward Arcadia 9. The ancient weapons vault was marked with a blue symbol, a precious secret that must not fall into the wrong hands. Kayla's eyes burned with determination. We have no choice. If they reach the weapon, it will be the end of everything we have fought for. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of the moment settle deep inside him. Then we fight. We use every advantage, every skill we have. Kayla placed a hand on his shoulder. You have learned quickly, Elias. Your mind is as sharp as any blade. Elias smiled faintly. And your strength is as fierce as the stars. Their alliance was strong, but the coming battle would test them in ways neither could imagine. The plan was simple but dangerous. Kayla and a small group of elite warriors would engage the enemy directly to slow their advance. Meanwhile, Elias and a team of engineers would work to disable the ancient weapon, making sure it could not be used against them. As the enemy fleet approached Arcadia 9's surface, alarms echoed through the base. Fighters launched into the sky, weaving through the rocky canyons. Explosions lit the horizon as the two sides clashed. Kayla led her warriors with fierce courage. Her blade flashed in the sunlight as she fought enemies twice her size. Her movements were swift and precise, a dance of skill and strength. Around her, the Valari warriors moved as one, their loyalty and discipline clear in every strike. Elias, far from the battle, worked in the weapons vault. The ancient technology was like nothing he had ever seen, complex, powerful, and dangerous. He carefully examined the control panel, searching for a way to shut it down. Time was running out. Outside, the sound of distant fighting grew louder, reminding him of the stakes. Suddenly, a warning flashed on his screen. A group of enemy soldiers had found their way into the vault. Elias's heart pounded. He had to act quickly. Using every skill he had learned, Elias locked the doors and activated defense protocols. The vault was protected by energy shields and traps designed by the Valari themselves. As the enemy tried to break through, Elias fought to keep the system online. He hacked into the control interface, disabling power supplies and confusing their equipment. The ancient weapon hummed quietly behind him, waiting for someone to take control. Outside the vault, Kayla and her warriors were pushing back the enemy. The battle was fierce and brutal. The enemy used advanced weapons and technology, but the Valari fought with a fierceness born of desperation. Kayla's blade sliced through an attacker, then another. Her voice rose above the noise as she shouted orders, rallying her team. Hold the line! Protect the vault. Suddenly, one of her warriors shouted a warning. A massive enemy mech was advancing, crushing everything in its path. Kayla's eyes narrowed. We have to stop it before it reaches the vault. She charged forward, her energy blade glowing brighter. The mech fired powerful blasts, but Kayla dodged with skill and speed. She struck at the mech's joints, looking for a weak spot. Meanwhile, Elias worked furiously inside the vault. He had discovered the weapon's core control and was trying to disable it completely. The technology was ancient but incredibly advanced. With one final command, Elias initiated the shutdown sequence. The weapon's power began to fade, the hum growing quieter. Relief washed over him. Outside, the mech faltered. Kayla saw her chance and delivered a powerful strike to its control panel. The mech collapsed in a shower of sparks. The enemy forces began to retreat, their morale broken. Kayla and Elias's team stood victorious but exhausted. Kayla returned to the vault, her armor battered but her spirit strong. Elias emerged from the control room, wiping sweat from his brow. You did it, Kayla said, smiling. The weapon is no longer a threat. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. We did it together. Kayla looked around at the tired warriors. This battle was just the beginning. There will be more to come. Elias met her gaze. Then we will be ready. Together. As the suns rose over Arcadia 9, Elias and Kayla stood side by side. The stars above seemed brighter, filled with promise and hope. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity and the Valari were stronger together, ready to face whatever challenges the universe would bring. The war was over, but the galaxy was not the same. Arcadia 9, once a quiet and forgotten planet, had become a beacon of hope and unity. Elias and Kayla stood together, looking out over the land that had witnessed their struggle and their triumph. The air was filled with the scent of new beginnings. Kayla's armor was worn, but her eyes shone with pride. Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment and peace. They had faced impossible odds and survived. Now they had a chance to build something better. We have come far, Kayla said softly. But this is only the start, Elias nodded. The weapon is destroyed. The enemy has retreated, but there is still much to do. Together they walked through the settlement that was growing around the base. Humans and Valari worked side by side, sharing skills, knowledge, and stories. The bond between their peoples was stronger than ever. Elias stopped near a group of children playing with simple toys made from scrap materials. Their laughter was bright and full of life, a reminder of the future they fought for. Kayla smiled. They will know peace. That is why we fought. Elias looked at her, feeling a warmth in his heart. You remembered me always. I remembered you too. Our bond saved us both. Kayla nodded. And it will guide us forward. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by a message from the Violari Council, received through a secure communication channel. The voice on the screen was calm but urgent. Kyla, Elias, congratulations on your victory. The Council wishes to speak with you both immediately. There are new developments concerning the galaxy's future. Kayla exchanged a look with Elias. Let's see what the Council wants. They entered a communication room, where the hologram of the Violari High Council appeared. The leaders were wise and powerful, their presence commanding respect. Your bravery and unity have inspired us all, the Council's leader said. But the galaxy is vast and threats remain. We must work together to protect all who live. Elias listened carefully as the Council explained the need for a new alliance, one that would include humans, Violari, and other peaceful species. The goal was to create a network of support and defense so no one would face danger alone. Kayla's eyes shone with determination. This is the future we fought for. A galaxy united by trust and strength, Elias agreed. Together, we can build a better tomorrow. In the weeks that followed, Elias and Kayla traveled across Arcadia 9 and beyond, spreading the message of peace and cooperation. They met with other alien species, forging friendships and alliances. Their story became a symbol of hope. At the heart of their mission was the memory of their shared past, the moment when a human saved a Violari warrior, and a bond was formed that could never be broken. One evening, under a sky full of stars, Elias and Kayla stood on a high cliff overlooking the vast landscape. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky with colors of gold and purple. Kayla turned to Elias. Do you ever think about how it all began? Elias smiled. Every day. I never expected to find a friend like you, or to be part of something so important. Kayla's voice was gentle. I remembered you always, Elias. And now we will remember this moment. The moment when we chose hope. They stood together in silence, feeling the calm after the storm. The galaxy was still full of challenges, but they faced them with courage and unity. As night fell, the stars above seemed to shine brighter, lighting the way to a new dawn. Their journey was far from over, but Elias and Kayla knew one thing for sure. As long as they stood together, there was no darkness they could not overcome. The bond between human and Violari was more than friendship. It was a promise. A promise to protect, to fight, and to remember. And in that promise lay the future.